The cabin stood alone deep in the woods. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the hustle and bustle of everyday life felt like a distant memory. The tall trees surrounding the cabin whispered secrets of the forest, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze. This was a sanctuary, a hidden gem far from the prying eyes of the world. It promised peace and relaxation, the kind of peace that seeps into your bones, making you forget the stress and worries of the outside world. The tranquility of the setting was almost palpable, with the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves creating a soothing symphony. It was a place where one could truly unwind and reconnect with nature.
Finally, we're here. The journey had been long, but the sight of the cabin made it all worthwhile. The friends exchanged relieved smiles, their excitement palpable. They had been looking forward to this getaway for weeks, and now they were finally here, ready to make memories that would last a lifetime.
Alex, Sarah, Ben, and Chris arrived eager for a weekend escape. Each of them had their own reasons for needing this break. Alex, with his demanding job, needed to disconnect. Sarah, always the life of the party, wanted to spend quality time with her friends. Ben, the nature lover, was excited to explore the woods, and Chris, the storyteller, was looking forward to the quiet nights by the fire. They unloaded bags from the car, laughter echoing in the crisp air. The sound of their laughter was infectious, spreading joy and warmth. They joked about the heavy bags, reminisced about old times, and made plans for the weekend. The air was filled with a sense of camaraderie and anticipation. They settled in, unpacking board games and snacks. The cabin quickly transformed into a cozy haven, with the aroma of snacks filling the air and the sight of board games promising hours of fun. They arranged everything meticulously, ensuring that they had everything they needed for a perfect weekend.
This place is perfect. The sentiment was shared by all. The cabin, with its rustic charm and cozy interiors, felt like a home away from home. The friends couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of the place, feeling grateful for this opportunity to escape and recharge.
The friends felt happy. The cabin felt welcoming. It was as if the cabin itself was embracing them, offering warmth and comfort. The crackling fire in the fireplace added to the ambiance, casting a warm glow that made the room feel even cozier. They were excited to spend a weekend away from their busy city lives. The city, with its constant noise and chaos, felt like a world away. Here, in the heart of the forest, they could breathe freely, without the weight of their daily responsibilities. As the sun began to set, the friends gathered in the living room. The golden hues of the setting sun filtered through the windows, casting a magical glow. They settled into the plush sofas, feeling the day's fatigue melt away. The atmosphere was serene, with the promise of a beautiful evening ahead. A fire crackled in the old stone fireplace. The sound was soothing, a gentle reminder of the simple pleasures of life. The warmth from the fire enveloped them, making them feel safe and content. It was the perfect setting for an evening of stories and laughter. They shared stories and jokes and played games. The room was filled with laughter and joy as they recounted old memories and created new ones. The board games brought out their competitive spirits. But it was all in good fun. The bonds of friendship grew stronger with each passing moment.
Who's ready for another round? The question was met with enthusiastic cheers. They raised their glasses, toasting to friendship, to the weekend, and to the memories they were creating. The clinking of glasses echoed in the room, a symbol of their shared joy and camaraderie.
Outside, the wind howled. It was a stark contrast to the warmth and laughter inside the cabin. The wind seemed to carry with it the mysteries of the forest, whispering secrets that only the trees could understand. It was a reminder of the wild, untamed beauty of nature. It seemed to whisper against the cabin walls. The sound was both eerie and comforting, a lullaby of the wilderness. The friends listened, feeling a deep connection to the natural world around them. It was a moment of reflection, a reminder of the beauty and power of nature. It was the start of a night that would change everything. The friends had no idea what lay ahead, but they were ready to embrace whatever came their way. The night was filled with promise, with the potential for adventure and discovery. It was a night that would be etched in their memories forever. Nightfall brought a chill to the air. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch and twist into eerie shapes. The forest, once a place of serene beauty, now transformed into a realm of foreboding darkness. The cabin, nestled deep within the woods, began to lose its warmth as the night took over, its wooden walls creaking as if whispering secrets of the past. A strange unease settled over the group. They had come here for a weekend getaway, a chance to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. But as the darkness enveloped the cabin, an inexplicable tension filled the air. Conversations dwindled, replaced by nervous glances and the occasional forced laugh. The once cozy cabin now felt like a trap, its walls closing in on them. Sound seemed amplified in the darkness. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig outside echoed through the cabin like a gunshot. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards. It was as if the forest itself was alive, watching, waiting. The wind howled like a mournful cry. It whipped through the trees, causing their branches to sway and groan. The sound was haunting, a symphony of nature's despair. It felt as though the wind carried with it the voices of lost souls, their laments echoing through the night. A low scratching came from the roof. It was faint at first, barely noticeable over the howling wind. But as the minutes ticked by, it grew louder, more insistent. It sounded like claws scraping against the wooden shingles, a relentless, unnerving noise that set their nerves on edge.
"It's probably just an animal," someone suggested, their voice trembling. They tried to sound confident, but the fear was evident in their eyes. The group nodded in agreement, clinging to the hope that it was nothing more than a raccoon or a stray cat. But deep down, they all knew that something was off.
Alex tried to ignore it, focusing on the flickering flames of the fireplace. He told himself that there was a logical explanation for everything, but the scratching continued, relentless and unyielding, and fear began to prick at the edges of his thoughts. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, each beat a reminder of the growing dread, but fear began to prick at the edges of his thoughts. He glanced around the room, seeing the same fear mirrored in the eyes of his friends. They were all on edge, their nerves frayed by the oppressive atmosphere. The cabin, once a place of refuge, now felt like a prison.
Let's watch a movie, someone suggested, trying to break the tension. Maybe it'll take our minds off things. The group agreed, eager for any distraction. They huddled together on the couch, the flickering light of the TV casting eerie shadows on the walls. Maybe it'll take our minds off things. They chose a light-hearted comedy, hoping to lift their spirits. But even as they laughed at the antics on screen, the tension in the room was palpable. Every creak of the cabin, every gust of wind outside made them jump.
It was a distraction from the unsettling noises. The movie provided a temporary escape, a brief respite from the oppressive atmosphere. But the sounds outside continued, a constant reminder that they were not alone. The wind howled, the branches scratched against the windows, and the low, persistent scratching on the roof never ceased. But the tension in the room was palpable. They were all on edge, their nerves frayed by the relentless noise. The cabin, once a place of refuge, now felt like a prison. They huddled together, seeking comfort in each other's presence, but the fear was ever present, lurking in the shadows. They jumped at every creak and groan of the old cabin. The wooden floorboards seemed to shift and settle. The walls groaned as if under some unseen pressure. Every sound was a potential threat, every noise a reminder of their isolation. They were trapped, surrounded by darkness and fear.
Did anyone else see that? Someone asked, their voice barely above a whisper. The group turned to look, their eyes wide with fear. They stared into the darkness, straining to see what had caught their friend's attention. "I thought I saw something in the woods." The words hung in the air, a chilling reminder of their vulnerability. They peered into the darkness, their eyes searching for any sign of movement. But the forest remained still, its secrets hidden in the shadows.
Ben thought he saw a figure watching them from the woods. It was just a fleeting glimpse, a shadowy silhouette that seemed to blend into the trees. He blinked, trying to focus, but the figure was gone. He told himself it was just his imagination, a trick of the light. He dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the doubt lingered in his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that something was out there, lurking in the darkness. The fear gnawed at him, a constant nagging presence that refused to be ignored, but doubt lingered in his mind. He glanced at his friends, seeing the same doubt reflected in their eyes. They were all on edge, their nerves frayed by the relentless noise and the oppressive darkness. The cabin, once a place of refuge, now felt like a prison. They were trapped, surrounded by fear and uncertainty, with no escape in sight. Morning came. The forest was bathed in an eerie light, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with a life of their own. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. The cabin felt heavy with dread. Chris was gone. His bed was empty, the sheets tossed aside as if he had left in a hurry. His belongings were untouched, lying exactly where he had left them the night before. Panic seized the group as they realized the gravity of the situation. They searched the cabin frantically, calling his name. "Chris! Chris!" they shouted, their voices echoing off the wooden walls. Only silence met them, a silence so profound it seemed to swallow their cries.
"Chris, where are you?" The desperation in their voices grew with each passing moment. They ran outside, their eyes scanning the dense forest that surrounded the cabin.
Despair began to set in. The forest seemed to close in around them, its shadows growing longer and more menacing. They were alone, isolated in this vast wilderness with no sign of their friend. They were alone, lost in the woods with something unknown. The trees loomed overhead, their branches intertwining to form a canopy that blocked out the sun. The forest floor was a maze of roots and fallen leaves, making every step treacherous. On the floor, they found a message. It was hastily scrawled, the letters uneven and jagged as if written in a state of panic. It was scrawled in what looked like blood. The sight of it sent a chill down their spines, their minds racing with questions and fears. Strange symbols surrounded a single word: run. The symbols were unlike anything they had ever seen, their meaning a mystery. But the word run was clear, a stark warning that sent their hearts pounding.
Oh my God, what is this? The shock and horror were evident in their voices as they stared at the message, their minds struggling to comprehend what it meant.
Terror gripped their hearts. The realization that they were not alone in the woods, that something was out there watching them, filled them with a fear unlike any they had ever known. They were not alone in the woods. Something was hunting them. The shadows seemed to move, figures lurking just out of sight. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent them spinning around, their eyes wide with fear. The forest, once a place of beauty and tranquility, had become a nightmare from which there was no escape. They fled the cabin, adrenaline pumping through their veins. The woods seemed to close in around them. Twigs snapped under their feet, their breath forming clouds in the cold air. They ran until their lungs burned, but they couldn't escape the feeling of being watched.
Keep moving, we can't stop now.
They encountered strange traps, deep pits hidden by leaves, tripwires strung between trees.
Someone's herding us, deeper into the woods.
Fear became their constant companion. Survival was their only goal.